Welcome, welcome. You're tuning into an agency. Organic podcast production. We're coming to you live right here from Round Rock, Texas. All right, quick heads up before we get into it. Listen closely. We are not doctors, lawyers, or financial advisors. We don't offer medical, legal, or financial advice. We're just a couple of people talking into a mic. Don't take what we say and go bankrupt. Get a prescription or try to represent yourself in court. Got it. Now with that out of the way, a little warn about potential side effects. You might experience some laughing, maybe a little crying, and there's a chance you'll get a healthy dose of motivation to get off your butt and stop whining to your mommy.
All right, so there I was at the concert. Next thing I know, I'm giving him a piggyback ride. Now you're asking yourself, like, what the heck is going on? How did we get in this position, and what should we do next? I was there with my sister, and I just started thinking, like, what can we do that's something different? How can we set ourselves apart from everybody else in the crowd? And I think that's the same thing we need to do with our business, right? We need to figure out how to get above the noise. Right here is all the noise at the bottom of my hand, right here. This is where everybody's at. This is what everybody's doing. Not saying that we shouldn't be doing the basics, but if we just keep competing here at this level, it's going to be hard for us to get anywhere. So what we need to figure out is how to get above the noise in our business. So there we were looking, and at first we were about midline. I was like, hey, let's go to the back of the line so when we get close to him, we don't have to worry about other people either waiting or him trying to just push everybody through because the next person needs to come. We'll be the last ones, and that's going to help separate us from what everybody else was doing at the concert. So as we're going, we start getting closer. We start getting closer. Everybody's doing the same exact thing. They're getting with the artist. They're taking the picture, doing a selfie. Boom, it's done. But I said we have to do something different. We have to do something that's going to separate us from what everybody else is doing. We can't keep doing the same thing. And that's what I say about your business. What are we doing to separate your business from the rest of the competition? Are we just doing the same thing over and over and hoping that it's going to make a difference or make the change that we need in our business? Because it's just doing what everybody else is doing. So it's either going to be a competition of who's doing it more, or it could be a competition of who's doing it different. And that's what I want to get you guys in the mindset of doing. So we're getting closer and closer in the line. We're getting closer to the artist. This big famous artist, everybody wants to take pictures with him. And there we are. We get closer and we get closer and we get closer. Was it out of my comfort zone? Absolutely. Is that where we have to go sometimes with our business? Is out of our comfort zone to make something bigger or different happen. Because if we keep doing the same thing over and over, we're going to end up with the same results. They say if you do the same thing over and over and expect different results, that's insanity. But I want to challenge that. If we do the same thing over and over and expect the same results, that's insanity also. So I don't want you to go crazy trying to run your business, trying to separate yourself in your industry. Right here is where everybody else is competing. Right here is where we want to start you competing. We went to a conference this summer. That's one of the things the guy spoke up and said. He wrote a whole book on how to scale your business. And he said we had to figure out a way not to compete where all the noise is, but to get above the noise. Because you can scream as loud as you want, but if you're in the middle of the noise, nobody's really going to hear you. But think about it. The person on stage with the microphone at a concert, they don't have to scream at you. They could just sing. They could whisper, and everybody's hearing them. Why? Because they're above the noise. That's what we want to do with your business. So here we are. We keep getting closer and closer and closer. Now there's only a couple people left. We're like, all right, this is what we're going to have to do. Let's do something. What can we do that's going to be different, that's going to separate us from everybody else that's in this crowd? We're at the end of the line, so we see what everybody is doing. We see what everybody has done. Everybody's doing the same exact thing. That's what they do in business too. For this artist, can we get a picture? Selfie. Yes, there we go. It's a meet and greet, right? So that's what we're doing. There's a lot of people in the room. We're getting closer to the end. There we are. All of a sudden, we're there. We're meeting him. We're greeting him. We're there. It's our moment to shine. So what are we going to do that's going to separate us? What are we going to do? What are we going to ask him? How's it going to work out? What if he says no? So many people are scared of what if they say no in my sales? Or I'm already too busy, I can't do this. What happens? But let me challenge that. What happens if they say yes? What happens if it works? What happens if it doesn't work? We're no worse off than we were to begin with. So if it works, we're better off. If it doesn't work, it doesn't even make a difference. It makes no change at all. But if it does work, that's how we start scaling. So we're finally there, front of the stage, with him. We're nervous. There we go. Here comes the pitch. Hey, what if we tried something different? Can we do something creative? We want to do something that's a little bit more unique. What if we did something like a piggyback? There it was. I started to sweat. I felt it. He was going to say no. I waited. That silence that was just a couple seconds seemed like minutes, turned into hours. But then there we were, and he said yes. Let's do it. So I'm going to be honest right here. This was totally out of my comfort zone. I've never given a grown man a piggyback ride in my life. Maybe you have. I don't know that many people that are grown men that have given other grown men piggyback rides. Maybe if you were doing something crazy or something happened, maybe you did it, but I just don't do this on a regular basis. So then, here we are. He hops on. I'm holding him. My sister's doing pictures. She's doing videos. We're like, this is crazy. It's happening. I knew she was going to try to do some videos and pictures, and we're both just like waiting. He's looking there. It's like, it's almost been a minute, 2 minutes. I'm just piggybacking on this guy's back. It's probably just as uncomfortable for him as it was for me. I don't think he has physically hopped on another man's back and did a piggyback just for a picture. So there we are. We're doing something different, unique. We're getting above the noise. And that's what we're trying to do in our business. So here we are. And I'll be honest, like I've given my kids piggybacks before, and that's easy. So we kind of just know the routine, right? But since he's a grown man, it's probably been quite a while since he's had a piggyback ride, probably since he was a kid. So first of all, maybe it's been 10, 20 years. Maybe it's been 5 years. Maybe it's been 1 year, 2 years. I don't know. And then here we are. And I'm thinking, all right, I just let my kids go and they hop right off. This is cool. This is the same thing I'm going to do now. So my sister's done with the pictures. She's done with the videos. We did it. We got the best pictures ever. The whole crowd, everybody in there's cheering. They're laughing. They're excited. They're talking about us. That's what we want in your business too, right? Everybody to see you, start talking about you, to know you. Not necessarily go viral, but to know who you are and what you do and to separate yourself so they actually hear you and you don't have to scream. Everybody got silent once you hopped on my back. Then they started to laugh and smile and whisper stuff to each other. But we had the attention of the whole room. We had the attention of everybody in the room, not only during the meet and greet, but during the concert too. Everybody knew who we were. We were the guy who gave him a piggyback ride. So there I am. I'm like, all right, it's time to let him down. What do we do? I was like, I just let go, I guess, right? So I let go, and there he goes. He falls. And he falls back on the stage. And I'm like so embarrassed at that point. I was like, man, I didn't even think that part through. But that's the best thing about having systems in place, right? Is you've already thought it through. You already wrote the process. You've already planned the process. You already know what you're going to do. So there he goes. He falls against the stage. We both look at each other. I am so embarrassed at this point because just a minute ago, I'm the guy who gave him a piggyback ride. Now, I'm the guy who dropped him, the famous artist. He fell against the stage. Is he hurt? Will he be able to play? I don't know. So I'm starting to panic a little bit. I look at him. Is he going to get mad? Is he going to kick me out? Is security going to come rush me? Then all of a sudden, he looks at me and he starts laughing. I start laughing too. I'm like, wow, such a relief. The first couple seconds when I asked him if we could do that, that seemed forever. But those couple seconds in between when I didn't know if he was all right or not, that even seemed to drag out longer. That the space in between that was uncertain for me even became longer. That minute, seconds, whatever it was, seemed like hours and days that I was just standing there, people looking at me. All of a sudden, boom, he laughs, I laugh, everybody's laughing. It was a great thing. It turned out really good at that point. So there we are, and we go to the concert, we get a piggyback, everything turned out fine, but now everybody's remembering us. We got above the noise. Like I was saying, we go, and if you're the person on stage, you don't got to scream. You could whisper and people still hear you because you had the microphone. You're above them. You're standing taller than them. There you are. Everybody's looking up to you. And that's what we're trying to do with your business. So how do we do that? We look at your whole business and your process and your systems and see where maybe the gaps are, so we can help fill those and automate them and take a lot of the stress off. There's the local, there's the organic, there's the paid. There's so many different factors, and that's what we have to look at. Maybe you're a local business and say, hey, I normally don't do this. This is out of my comfort zone. Why should I do this? It doesn't make sense. I'm just going to keep competing down here because this is my comfort zone. This is what we did for 20 years and it's worked. But now everything's evolving, right? Things don't necessarily change, they evolve. It's different ways of doing the same thing. Back in my day, word of mouth used to be tell everybody you know. But now it's like, click, share, follow. If we could get people to do that, write a review. Now that's what word of mouth is. One thing I realize is the lazier we allow people to be, the more that they will help us. The lazier we allow people to be, the more they will help us. If I ask you right now, will you help me move this weekend? The chances are most of you guys will make an excuse or tell me no. But if I say, can you like that? Share it. Write me a review. Something, and I automate that system so it makes it easier for you. It makes it easier for me. And it's just part of the process, part of our system that we do, part of the flow. Everybody's more apt to do it because the lazier you allow them to be, the more people will help you. Just remember that. So here we are, and we're talking to local business. We want to get you above the noise. We want to help you scale your business. We want to help you grow your business. Well, maybe we suggest something that sounds a little wild to you, something that separates you a little bit from everybody else in the industry. Maybe we suggest doing a podcast. And you say, a podcast? I don't like being in front of camera. I don't like public speaking. And just like I tell the kids in sports, practice doesn't make you perfect. It makes you better. So let's practice. Let's do it together the first couple times and get you comfortable. Because once you're comfortable, it's not out of your comfort zone. It's in your comfort zone. And now you feel more comfortable doing it. You feel more confident doing it. And that's the place where we want to get you. It's not just done for you services that we offer, but it's done with you services. It's when we need you to do something, we do it with you. We don't just say, go do this, and it has to be great. We do it with you. We practice with you. We go through the process with you. And I think that's one of the most important things is a lot of these companies will want you to do stuff, but they don't do it with you. Or they say, we'll do it for you. But at some point in growing a business, we can't do everything for you. We could do lots of things for you, but at some point we need to do it with you and help you get better, help you improve. So maybe we say we do a podcast. Why are we going to do a podcast? Because the distribution is amazing. The distribution for podcasts is amazing. You can post on one site or one distribution place, and it gets you out to like 100 different places. It gets you on iTunes. It gets you on iHeartRadio. It will get you on Google Podcasts. It will get you on YouTube. It will get you on all these places. And now your content is being syndicated with one push of a button and getting you backlinks and rankings that you normally wouldn't get. But now we're talking about like different things. What if I say, why don't we create some music or some lists for you? You're like, that sounds so overwhelming. Yeah, I'll tell you the truth. Probably like 5-10 years ago, it was really overwhelming. You're absolutely right, 100%. Why are you right? Because it can be hard. But nowadays, most people's laptop, you can make music off of. You got AI, you could go make music off of. There's so many different ways. So now we're doing distribution. It's the same thing as podcast distribution. But we don't do music. Why would we do music? It's to help you with the rankings, to get you above the noise, right? Then we have all these other things that we're doing. We're like, this is crazy. How do we keep doing these things? Why would you suggest these things for you? Everything we suggest is to help you get above the noise, right? Write a book. Well, maybe nobody in my industry is writing a book. That's why we help you. A book could be multiple things. It could be for lead generation. It could be to help create authority for you, help become a thought leader. But if nothing else, it could just be a lead tool for us to help people get in the door, to help us convert better for you. And that's one of the best things that we're talking about. So what are you doing today to get your business above the noise? What are you doing today? Comment below what you're doing right now to get yourself above the noise and stop competing in the noise.